Hi everybody, thanks for checking out this video here on G4G on YouTube. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by TPR, melancholy music from Final Fantasy VII. It's really cool stuff, really soothing. Check out their works on YouTube. A link will be in the description as always. So today we are resuming explorations of the Spec Ops sets of the past. If you've been following the channel, you know I do them in groups of 5. The first 5 was pretty good. The next 5, episode 2, was absolute garbage, so I tried to throw it a bone by putting in the Smart Set, one of the only farmable sets in the game that is completely free. And even though I could have added Son of the Demon Set as number 5, I figured let me just isolate all the trash into one video and start fresh, where everything is cool. So the first set we have is the Son of the Demon Set, a somewhat forgotten set until the Scroll of Rudamaroth came around. So this came from the Daemon Spec Ops, and let's take a look at some of the other gear that we got during it. So we got a bunch of the tridents. In this, believe it or not, we got the Mimic, which is the sword that is patterned after Taskmaster. In order for its Protect to be active, you actually have to use the Mimic once, and then you can start protecting and absorbing those class abilities. We got the Crooked Grin and the Brute. Now, the Brute was recently a roulette item. The Brute is pretty awesome as it removes buffs. The Crooked Grin has been reworked to saying that it has a desperation attack, so whatever it was beforehand now falls in line with Playdom's new little child. The lower the character's health, the more damage it does. It bleeds, it does hemorrhaging. Because it is not slashing, it will gain no benefit from the Black Knight. Otherwise, it could stack up to 2 bleeds. Brute we know about, and then we will get into the set. So let's take a look at it. It's not really a 5-piece, as one of the items is technically an upgrade of the other. So, taking a look, we will see how it says 3-3. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the Hammering Nail is a weaker version of the Heir of Hell. Hammering Nail. So, the Scourging Gaze, the eyeball thing, it puts off balance and quartered on the entire enemy team. It's up every other round. If you have Dizzy, it applies generalized to enemies, which is phenomenal. And it causes weakened on you. It's stealthy, which is pretty good. Stealthy AoE is always really, really nice. The Devourer, aka the hardest working counter / follow-up item in the business. If you have weakened from the previous item, every time you swing this thing, you have a chance to cause incapacitation. It does bleeds, and it gives you blood curse like the Black Knight. If anybody on the enemy team is bleeding and you hit them, this has a chance to follow up, which then puts out more bleeds. Because it is slashing, if combined with the Black Knight, it will always cause 2 stacks of bleeds, and it is magical, so it is good now for phased meta. The problem is, it's melee, and every time this follows up, if there's a Scudam on the other side, it's gonna drain. Probably should pair that up with Despair, at the very least, if you're going to run it nowadays. So we have the Hammering Nail. We're going to look at this closely. Death Frost and Slowed. High crits. But the real item here is the Heir of Hell. Kind of looks like the Grief. It adds Bane and keeps Death Frost and Slowed. Causes Slowed on the agent, just like the Scroll of Rudamaroth. If the agent has exposed, gains a chance to counter and apply Soulfire to enemies even when it counters. So, Bane, Death Frost, and Soulfire going out repeatedly is pretty nice. Again, melee, slashing, and magic, so this would cause bleeds if used with Black Knight. Makes it a nice little attrition weapon because of Death Frost, Soulfire, and the potential to add bleeds. And then finally, we have the game-breaking Chalice of Souls. The Chalice of Souls makes the game disrespect its own rules. You can use the Chalice of Souls to come back from death under circumstances where normally you can't. Yes, we have Jean Grey. Yes, we have Valkyrie and things like that. However, they can only res you from a normal death. If you have an outright obliterating sacrifice, like, say, the Scroll of Aknazak, or the Power of Four, or the Corned Beef, aka the Phoebe Denrock, nothing will save you from going to hell by yourself. You almost kind of wonder if it's a religious statement. Oh, committing suicide's a mortal sin. The Chalice of Souls don't give no fucks, and will go ahead and resurrect at least your agent, no matter what. Some of you who follow me on my Twitch streams the last few PvP seasons, or have caught one or two videos on it that I've done, I used the Chalice of Souls to run a suicide offense. There's a few people that run it. I've caught a few people in my defensive reports that are running suicide setups. But phylactery, it brings the agent back to life before this character's action. So basically, you want to use this on somebody who is very far away from your agent in turn order. If the agent has slowed, it applies rebuff to that ally, and it causes dizzy, which loops back around to the eyeball. Rebuff was a hard thing to come by back then, as rebuff seals in your buffs that nothing can take it away. So the set is pretty solid, and of course gets a lot of usage out of the Scroll of Runemeroth. If you run the Scroll of Runemeroth with the other four pieces, the Gaze, the Devour, the Air, and the Chalice, you've got quite a nifty little thing over here. None of these unfortunately count as debuffs. You can't make that much use out of it with the new tack suit. But it's pretty cool, and honestly, an AoE generalized that also applies a bunch of different items here can be used in an opportunist setup. Exposed is a little risky, but honestly, the Devour is phenomenal. It's just great for PvE. Moving on, we have the Vindication Set, which came out during Dark Reign. This looks like it has many, many pieces to it, but it's actually not. So this was when Ares was recruitable, and this is probably one of the last Spec Ops that I truly kind of pussyfooted around with. I got going a lot better on my Spec Ops after this one. As you can see, that's the fake Avengers over there. It gave us the War Splitter Axe, which is kind of not really been redone in this game, although the girl's best friend can do this. But neutralized and strengthened is pretty cool. However, it has a 2-round cooldown. As you can see, that's Ares' axe. The rather interesting guided repeater that was kind of trash, but kind of okay, was in here. This, I believe, is a pinpoint gun. Yes. So this is one of the few ways that you could set out pinpoint for the Hawkeyes and everything. A nice 4-round pinpoint and a locked on, which is pretty cool. And it's guaranteed to follow up with pinpoint people. So when, like, Kate was popular and working, although she's fixed now, guided repeater was pretty cool. There was also the Blade Catcher over here. Bleeding, takes reduced damage from slashing attacks, and counters most single target slashing. Could potentially be good against Spitfire if you could shut down her stealth, like through Heimdall or the satellite support. Not many things have those buffs in the game, honestly. Although I believe New Captain's got some of it. So the Vindication Set really is a 4-piece, ignoring these over here, but it actually is 5, really. It's 4 guns and an anchor piece, and at least nowadays you could run them all, but it wouldn't be wise because the power cell has a 2-round cooldown. So here it is. This is the anchor of the set. It gives you high capacity charge, it's subtle, and it restores health and stamina when used, and had this nifty little thing of emitting a sonic blast that weakens symbiotes. These two are weaker versions of it. The MK2 is pretty much the same, but without the sonic burst, and the Power Cell 1 only gives you a low capacity charge. The Stalker is one of the most interesting guns in the entire game, and there is nothing like it. When you hit somebody with it, it hits them with an electronic tracking round that says the attack can't be stealthy, and everybody on your team counters that person when they attack. So, for example, if you pop this on Spitfire, and in round 2 she does her 2 attacks, your entire team will counter her for 6 attacks. That is if you use a high capacity charge. If you just use a short burst charge, then you only get surveillance on the agent. But if you have high, it goes on the entire team. I used to use this in PvP for teammates that had great stacking items on their level 1, like Magic and Sabretooth. Anybody who's level 1 or counteraction or follow-up is something stacking or special, like AoE, like Shatterstar or Rocket. The Stalker is very good, and you can successfully use it with today's high follow-up meta, like Union Jack and Spider-Man Noir. So if you have a Power Cell and a Stalker running around, you absolutely can dust that off and use it. The Sonic Blaster is up next. It applies an AoE generalized, which if you saw my Spec Ops videos from the beginning of the Spec Ops, I use this to shut off those cosmic dudes. If you have a high capacity charge, you put out neutralized and exhausted, which are opportunistic debuffs. And then of course, again, you get a Sonic Blast. Moving on, we have the Void Generator. Much like the Stalker, an extremely unique item in the game. It consumes a high capacity charge to put up on your team the Void Shield. The Void Shield removes a buff from an attacker, it absorbs damage, and it basically does Invisible Woman's air pressure. So, you could conceivably make a shield team by alternating air pressure in one round and then the Void Generator in the next round. You would always be shielded, and you would always be removing your debuffs unless, of course, something like Pesty or the Scroll of Runamoroth or the Psych Operator happens. However, you would at least get the damage-absorbing shield even if you could not remove your debuffs. Kind of stupid. Don't use this one on defense. The AI is not very good with this, but it's definitely effective in the hands of a human. And then finally, we have the Obliterator. I used to use this with Havoc and Iron Patriot way back in the day. Exploits flying targets, so good against Kurth. It's catastrophic. It has no radiation, so it would hit Kurth. Causes burning. Attack is reduced by 25%. And it consumes a high capacity charge to do Shield Breaker and a follow-up attack, which does initiate for people like Rocket and Spider-Man Noir and everything. 2 sets down, 3 to go. The Armory of Attilan set. So this was the Black Bolt Spec Ops, as you can imagine. And it gave us a superstar piece of gear that showed up in the Eternal Agent. More on that in a little bit. So we got Black Bolt, we got weakened versions of the main mace, we got the Sunspike, the Cruel Glaive, and we all know who this one is modeled after. Who else got cruelty but our favorite Guardians of the Galaxy boss, Corvus. Gains a damage boost after attacking a bleeding enemy. Similar to the Femme Fatales. We got the pretty cool Solar Storm and the now infamous Twisted Gift. The Solar Storm has a modern equivalent in the Polarized Storm, which is the free action version. This set was used quite effectively with Rescue around this time. So the mace does Winded, and it protects allies from single target melee attacks. You get a shield when you attack with it. You get high crit resistance like Thing and Colossus. And if you have used the Quick Action Protector, you counter the melee attacks, aside from just protecting from them. And it also does Shield Slam. So that means after you shield yourself from attacking, you get a buff out of it. So pretty good with like Carolina Dean, Invisible Woman, so on. The Watcher of Attilan gave you Curative Watch, which was quite obnoxious at the time in PvP. It causes distraction when used, and all allies have a chance to remove harmful status effect at the beginning of each turn. You protect from ranged attacks, you're resistant to energy, and it counters range attacks when the Protector of Attilan buff is active. Moving on, we have the Might of Attilan, which was the least effective part of the set. It kind of looks like you're holding Black Bolt's head in your fist. It ignores defense, it does targeted, and attacks with the Might of Attilan regenerate health. If the buff is active from the quick action, you perform a follow-up after attacking with either the Watcher or the Guardian. So you kind of never wanted to use this on its own. But if you had it equipped and used one of these others, that had a chance to follow up. The superstar of the set is the Quick Action Protector. You take reduced damage from enemy attacks, you deal reduced damage, but you become immune to cornered and off balance and pinpoint, and you get rebuff. So how this was used in the Eternal Agent, which is not possible anymore, the agent would use blink boots to get themselves phased, stack a bunch of subtle items like the signpost and the scroll of Angelob, and then run the Protector of Attilan to ensure that the phased was unremovable. This was before magic was super in the meta, thanks to Null and the Meteor stacks. The last time I ran into an Eternal Agent with this, I was running Iron Fist and Molly, and there was nothing that I could do against it. Not even the Blackest Void was going to fix that, and I had no magic, so there was nothing that I can do. Not even the Improbability Field was really going to help there. He just had a perfect turn order set up that he always kept up the phase, and they made it unremovable. So now we have the Dark Defiance set here at number 4. This was the Valkyrie Spec Ops, tied to the second Thor movie, basically. We had the very weird Stone Golem Club, and then we had a bunch of Dark Elf staves like the Eclipse. We had Destruction, we had Seduction, Darkness, Shadow, and then we had the set, and then we had part of the set over there for Algrim's Rage. So some of the Dark Elf items were like this, the Shadow over here, and we had debuffs in these that we've never seen since, like this Piercing Haze. It reduces accuracy, and then you get Enveloping Shadows, where it reduces defense, evasion, and it drains stamina. So, could be quite useful with a stamina draining set, if you had it, and this, but it's kind of rare that I run into people who have these gears. Then you have Darkness, Permeating Gloom, reduces attack, and it does Enveloping Shadows also. Consumed by Piercing Haze for additional damage. So it's kind of like when you go fire into Scorched, and then flip it. And the Stone Golem Club was really weird. It had this like shatter effect to it. It starts cooldown, and it hits one enemy, and it says it has a chance to cause damage to additional targets as splash damage. I don't know why it had the starting cooldown. It was not a heavy-hitting item. So, looking at the set, we have the Watcher's Blade. Does cornered, does off balance, final stand, activated when any ally has been defeated. Algrim's Rage no longer requires invigorated before performing a follow-up attack. You also get a buff called At the Ready, a 50% chance when attacked to make the Horn of Wisdom a quick action, and it fixes the cooldown on it. More on that in a moment. Algrim's Rage, another awkward item of the set, and one of the only ones of its kind. It exploits protection, does final blow on all enemies. Momentum Reversal, gains a follow-up attack while Invigorated is active. Invigorated is having nearly full stamina. Clearly very risky in today's meta, but it would be very, very good if you were trying to run like a measured agent. Or you had something like the Cosmic Cardinal that routinely tries to help your stamina get back up to high levels. Next, we have the Frigga's Hope, which some newer players might seem familiar from Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck took the Friggin' Hope when he took this from the Armory. It does bleeding and Hope Eternal. Attacks with Frigga's Hope gain Paragon Exploiter and Desperation after an ally has been defeated. Be interesting if you ran this and then suicided the agent, if you would get the buff when you rezzed. And then finally we have the Horn of Wisdom, and I'm about ready to admit something stupid. I totally did not pay attention until in the recent few weeks that this is the exact same horn that Heimdall uses when he does the Yallarhorn move. I saw that and I was like, oh my god, that is the same thing as the Horn of Wisdom. How have I not realized that? This is a cool item, and this is how the Algrim's Rage gets its benefits, basically. You increase attack, defense, accuracy, and evasion. You restore stamina, and it stacks up to 3 times. But it's on a 2-round buff with a 2-round cooldown. So, the new captain could... Well, see, the new captain won't affect this because this is magic, not a buff. But, if you were using the at the ready, you could definitely stack this up quicker. Restores health to remaining allies when you are defeated in combat. The Horn of Wisdom is actually really nice. It's just a shame it's very, very tough to make it a quick action. If you had other good quick actions and could end your turn on a Horn of Wisdom, then it would be good, but it's just a shame that one is so confined. But it's meant to keep you topped off for the Algrim's Rage, and then the Watcher's Blade is meant to allow you to use this more often. So, and honestly, the Horn of Wisdom and the Watcher's Blade, just those two combined would be pretty solid. Finally, we have the Murderworld set, which came from everybody's favorite Nico Spec Ops, and that douche of a boss arcade. So we got a few things over here, like the Incenser for Red Hulk, the Gamma Knuckles for regular Hulk, the Ultra Conductor, the pretty cool Vexing Pistol, the Roaring Thunder, which is useful for your shocky people, and of course there is now the Lightning Strike, which is a quick action version of it. Arthas the cat is saying hi. One of my favorite items of all time, the Crooked Branch. Great for magic teams. It says that anytime a magic ability is used, you heal. If an energy ability is, or a tech ability is used, they get a pop. So it's similar to the Rectifier and the Eye of the Nile and everything like that. This is better than the Reverberation ISO because of the fact that that ISO only heals during normal actions. That heals Crooked Branch on anything that is magic, including quick and free actions. Anything magical, that thing heals. You can combine it with the Devourer, and anytime the Devourer counters or follow-ups, the Devourer will cause a heal on you. So we have the Sugar Beet. Now, this set, before I get into it, is one of the few, is the only set, actually, in this entire episode that has what I like to call the Recycle Arrow setup. The other sets in this video were all anchor items, so here kind of the Horn of Wisdom anchors this set. The Protector definitely anchors this set. The Power Cell anchors this set. These guys have some Recycle Arrow synergy, and same thing for this. These all loop back into each other here. So the Sugar Beet, if you have the Britannic Scepter, you have a chance to gain an extra turn on use, kind of like the Vampiric Sword. If you hit somebody with it, they get Halitosis, which is nothing, and Sticky, evasion reduced by 25%. You get Sugar Rush. This could be a phenomenal bonus to the Agent Rafflestomp. That will stack with things like Might, the Savage Strength, and the Savage Axe. So Might from the Hallowed Flamethrower, Savage Axe, and the Savage Spear. Insert coin, I do have this item, and it was one of my favorite items of all time years ago. I don't use it anymore. It does off balance and winded. I, as a tactician, like to use this to shut down infiltrators. And if you have the sugar beet, you get internal bleeding. Not a lot of ways to get internal bleeding back in the day. Serpentine, you can't hit me, I'm moving. Has synergy with the insert coin, where everybody would get generalized. You do constricted, the next attack against its target is a guaranteed crit, and you cause incapacitation. It's pretty much based on Constrictor, even though it's a minigun. And then you have the Britannic Scepter, which was based off of Captain Britain. Gains Lion of Avalon, gains Roar of Avalon, and restores health each time an enemy dies. You lose the Roar if one of your team dies. If you have Serpentine, you get Paragon Exploiter, and it has a chance to cause Dizzy Explode, so pressure points. Obviously, everything here loops back to the other one. So, Serpentine into the Scepter, Scepter into Sugar Beet into Insert Coin. I have to check. I don't think I have any of these, other than Insert Coin. Now that I see Sugar Beet with the candy apple buff over there, I might have to get this if they ever sell it. Because I'm very interested to see if that Candy Rush, that Sugar Rush, will stack with the Savage Strength and Might and everything. So no, in looking at my stuff, no, I don't. I only have the Insert Coin from here, although I may have picked up Serpentine. No, don't have Serpentine, although I think I've seen it on some spitters before, and I'm pretty sure I don't have the Britannic Scepter. Now, yeah, so the only set piece I have is Insert Coin. Definitely would like to get this set if it's ever sold. There was a period of time where Playdom was releasing these sets in chronological order, but then they skipped around a bit, and now they're not doing it anymore. I haven't seen that many old sets for sale. So, there is Episode 3 over here with Son of Demons Set, Vindication Set, Armory of Attilan, Dark Defiance, and the final set, Murderworld. If any of these go on sale, which ones should you get? If you have the Scroll of Runamaroth, you may definitely want to consider the Son of Demons set. Devourer is awesome, Chalice of Souls is unique and breaks the game, and a chance at AoE Generalize is always very welcome. The Vindication set is great, especially if you want to use the ISO that says buffs equal healing, because that power cell is great for that. It's very easy to keep a healthy agent by using a power cell and that ISO. The Stalker and Void Generator are incredibly unique and can definitely be used at any time in PvP and PvE. The Armory of Attilan set is pretty good, but the Protector of Attilan is really the kind of the shining star of this set. Dark Defiance is probably skippable unless it really came into needing stamina for bosses again, like the old Unibeam spam style. And the Murderworld set, so I would say Dark Defiance is a pass. Murderworld is probably a pass. However, I think I would get it just to complete it with Sugar Beet, for sure. And hey, another AoE Generalized, not a bad idea. So guys, there is the Spec Ops set retrospective number 3. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you've got any interesting set break-aparts over here where, well, I've tried this and this from this set, and then I used it with that, and it was phenomenal, then let me know. But obviously we covered the Eternal Agent with the Protector of Attilan, and this is no longer possible, so we don't need to discuss that one. Thanks everybody, take care.